Hey there, darkness dwellers and fright fanatics. Get ready to have your spines tingled and your nerves rattled, because today we're diving deep into the chilling world of creepy photos with blood-curdling backstories. First up, meet Blanche Monnier. Born into a wealthy French family in 1849, Blanche was a stunning beauty who caught the eye of many a suitor. But when she fell for a humble lawyer, her snobbish mother forbade the union. Blanche, ever the defiant daughter, threatened to elope. Well, Mom sure showed her, by locking poor Blanche in a tiny attic room for 25 years. When she was finally rescued, the once ravishing Blanche was a mere 55 pounds, covered in filth and infested with vermin. It's an image of human cruelty and suffering that's impossible to forget. But if you thought that was horrifying, wait until you hear about the shadows of Hiroshima. At 8:15 a.m. on August 6, 1945, the atomic bomb dubbed Little Boy detonated over the Japanese city, killing 70,000 people instantly. Temperatures soared to 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit, creating an intense flash of light and heat that bleached everything in its path. 28 years later, the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum made a chilling discovery, a set of steps with a human shadow seared onto them. It's a stark, unforgettable reminder of the day the world changed forever. From the horrors of war, let's travel back in time to 16th century Germany. The sleepy town of Munster woke up to a gruesome sight in 1536, 3 iron cages suspended from the steeple of St. Lambert's Church, each one containing the decaying corpse of an executed rebel. See, these guys had tried to overthrow the vicious Prince Bishop Franz von Waldeck, and he sure made an example out of them. For 50 years the townsfolk had to walk past the rotting, bird-pecked bodies of these would-be revolutionaries. To this day, the cages still hang as a macabre warning against treason and heresy. Feeling unsettled yet? Well, this next story might just push you over the edge. Imagine pouring your broken heart and shattered psyche onto the page, only to have those raw, vulnerable words put on display for all to see. That's exactly what happened to Emma Hawke, a young German woman institutionalized for schizophrenia in 1909. Emma spent her days writing impassioned letters to her husband, most of them consisting only of the phrase, "Sweetheart, come," repeated over and over, thousands of times. While her desperate scribblings reveal the depth of her anguish, they were also pathologized and scrutinized as the scribblings of a mad woman. It's a sobering glimpse into a mind unraveling. From anguish to outright atrocity, our next chiller takes us inside the tortured psyche of a serial killer. In 1945, Chicago police discovered the body of Frances Brown, a lonely waitress who had been brutally murdered in her apartment. Scrawled on the wall in lipstick was a taunting message from the killer. "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself." Shockingly, it was a 17-year-old boy named William Aarons who confessed to the crime spree, which included 2 other horrific child murders. Aaron's story forces us to grapple with the question of whether evil is born or made. And speaking of evil, let's talk about the Beast of Jersey. No, not the Jersey Shore you're thinking of. The Jersey in question is a tiny English isle with a very big, very dark secret. Throughout the 1960s, this picturesque island was stalked by a masked maniac who broke into homes and subjected his victims to sadistic torture and abuse. Known only as the Beast of Jersey, this monster managed to evade capture for 11 years, his reign of terror leaving a scar on the community's psyche that remains to this day. When he was finally caught, the beast was revealed to be a building contractor named Edward Paisnell, a chilling reminder that the face of evil is often a familiar one. Of course, not every scary photo hides a bogeyman or a murderer. Sometimes, the specter of death comes in the form of a sudden, freakish accident. Take the story of Michael and Sean McQuilkin, 2 brothers aged 18 and 12 who were hiking in Sequoia National Park in 1975. When they noticed their hair standing on end from the static in the air, the boys cheerfully snapped photos, having no idea that they were milliseconds away from being struck by lightning. Miraculously, both brothers survived, but the psychological scars would last a lifetime, with the younger brother Sean eventually taking his own life. It's a grim parable about the capricious cruelty of nature. But perhaps no image captures the agony of loss quite like the photo dubbed Tragedy by the Sea. Taken by photojournalist John Gaunt in 1954, it shows a young couple desperately searching the surf after their only son is swept away by a rogue wave. Their anguish is so palpable, so visceral, that the photo won a Pulitzer Prize. Gaunt, however, came to deeply regret taking it, saying that turning the worst moment of this couple's life into art was a transgression he could never quite forgive himself for. It's a candid admission of the uncomfortable relationship between journalism and voyeurism. But of all the photos we've uncovered, perhaps none are quite so affecting as the portraits of the lost children. Take Jeannie, the so-called feral child who spent the first 13 years of her life strapped to a potty chair in a locked room, never seeing the outside world or learning to speak. When she was finally freed from her abusive father, the photos of Jeannie learning to walk for the first time are equal parts heartbreaking and captivating, a stirring testament to the power of human resilience. Or what about Tereska, the Polish girl who survived unspeakable trauma during World War II? Asked to participate in a school drawing assignment, Tereska sketched a tangled mess of chalk lines over a simple stick figure woman. When questioned, she simply said, "This is home." It's a poignant, shattering glimpse at how deeply the scars of war can cut. Because in the end, that's what all of these photos have in common. They're not just morbid clickbait or cheap thrills. Each one tells a deeply human story of trauma, loss, and the terrible extremes of cruelty and misfortune. They ask us to bear witness to the suffering of others, to stare into the abyss and acknowledge the darkness that humans are capable of, and the strength we find in surviving it. If you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss an upload. Leave us a comment with your own scary encounters, and thanks for tuning in to Scaratastic.